12,000 years ago, long before the pyramids of Egypt, long before Stonehenge in Britain, and thousands of years before humanity even invented writing, a mysterious monument rose on a hill in southeastern Turkey. It is called Göbeklitepe, and it may hold the secrets of the world's first civilization. But what if Göbeklitepe is not just an ancient site? What if it is a message? A puzzle deliberately left behind for us to discover thousands of years later. The story of Göbeklitepe begins in the 1960s. Researchers exploring the region noticed unusual stones scattered across a barren hill. At the time, nobody cared. They thought these were nothing more than old gravestones or natural rock formations. And so for decades, the secret of Göbeklitepe remained buried under soil and silence. But fate had different plans. In 1994, German archaeologist Klaus Schmidt returned to the site. He looked closer, and he saw something others had missed. These stones were carved. They were shaped by human hands, and they were ancient. Far more ancient than anything humanity thought possible. The excavations began. Slowly, the earth gave way to reveal enormous circles of stone, T-shaped pillars, some as tall as 7 meters, weighing between 10 and 15 tons each, arranged not randomly, but with precision. 2 giant pillars standing at the center, surrounded by smaller stones in perfect circles. Whoever built this had vision, skill, and purpose. But how? How did hunter-gatherers living 12,000 years ago move stones heavier than a truck? How did they cut limestone with tools made only of flint? How did they design such perfect circles without mathematics or engineering? Every question we ask leads only to more mystery. The carvings on the stones added even more intrigue. Snakes slithering across the surface, foxes caught in eternal motion, scorpions ready to strike, powerful wild boars, mighty lions, and strange abstract symbols we still cannot decode. Some stones even appear to have arms, hands, and belts, as if the pillars themselves were meant to represent people. Were these gods, ancestors, or something else entirely? And then came an even bigger shock. When the site was dated, scientists discovered it was built around 9,600 BC. That is 7,000 years before the Great Pyramid, 5,000 years before Stonehenge. At a time when humans were not even supposed to know how to build permanent structures. According to traditional history, people of that age were nomadic hunters, moving from place to place. They had no farming, no cities, no advanced tools. And yet, here they were, raising the world's first temple. This single discovery shattered everything we thought we knew about human history. It forced archaeologists to ask questions they had never asked before. Did religion come before farming? Did belief unite people long before survival required it? And if so, what were they worshipping here? Göbeklitepe is more than stones. It is more than archaeology. It is a doorway, a window into a time when humanity first looked up at the stars and asked, why are we here? Who placed us in this world? What comes after death? And maybe, just maybe, Göbeklitepe was humanity's first attempt to answer those eternal questions. What was Göbeklitepe really built for? Archaeologists have debated this question for decades, and no single answer has satisfied everyone. Some say it was the world's first temple, a sacred place where hunter-gatherers came together to perform rituals. The carvings of animals may have represented spirits, gods, or powers of nature. But why create monuments so large, for rituals so mysterious? Others argue it was not a temple at all, but an observatory. They believe the stones align with the stars, that the animals carved into the pillars are actually constellations, the scorpion for Scorpio, the vulture for Cygnus, the fox for Canis. If this is true, then Göbeklitepe was not only the first temple, it was also the first map of the heavens. But who taught these people the sky? How could hunter-gatherers with no writing or advanced tools chart the stars so precisely? And then there are stranger theories. Some believe Göbeklitepe was the memory of a lost civilization, one wiped away by time. Was it the last echo of Atlantis? A message left behind by survivors of a global catastrophe? Or perhaps guidance from visitors not of this earth? Archaeology cannot answer these questions, but the stones remain, and their silence whispers endlessly. Göbeklitepe also hides another mystery. After being used for centuries, it was deliberately buried around 8000 BC. The people who built it covered it with soil, layer after layer, as if to hide it from the future. But why? Was it an act of protection, to preserve the sacred site for eternity, or was it an act of fear, sealing away powers they no longer wished to face? What did they know that we do not? Look closely at the carvings. Some show animals, yes, but others show abstract symbols, strange shapes, and even a headless human figure. Could this represent sacrifice? Could it represent myths now long forgotten? Or could it be the earliest record of a cosmic story? A story of creation and destruction written not in books, but in stone. Göbeklitepe forces us to ask uncomfortable questions. What if civilization did not begin with farming? What if belief, myth, and ritual came first, and farming only followed? If this is true, then our understanding of history is upside down. We thought necessity created culture. But what if culture, belief, and the search for meaning created necessity? And here lies the greatest mystery. Who were the people who built Göbeklitepe? We have no names. We have no records. We do not know what language they spoke, what gods they worshipped, or what dreams they held in their hearts. All we have are these stones, silent, immovable, eternal. And yet these stones speak louder than words. They tell us that even in the dawn of time, humans were already looking beyond survival. They were searching for something higher, for connection, for meaning, for the stars. Today, Göbeklitepe is no longer buried under soil and time. It has become a UNESCO World Heritage Site, attracting thousands of visitors each year. Tourists, historians, scientists, and spiritual seekers all stand among its ancient stones. And each of them feels the same thing: awe. But standing in Göbeklitepe raises more questions than answers. Who were the people who gathered here? What songs did they sing beneath the stars? What rituals did they perform in the flickering firelight as shadows danced across the stones? And what knowledge did they possess? Knowledge that we may have lost forever. Göbeklitepe is not alone. Nearby sites such as Karahan Tepe and Sefer Tepe suggest that this entire region may have been a sacred landscape. An ancient network of sanctuaries stretching across the hills, each one holding a different piece of the same puzzle. What does it mean that the very first monumental architecture in human history was not a city, not a palace, not even a fortress, but a temple? It means that our ancestors placed belief above survival. That myth was as important as food, that the search for meaning was as vital as the hunt. This is the true power of Göbeklitepe. It changes how we understand ourselves. But perhaps the greatest mystery is not how Göbeklitepe was built, but why it was buried. Imagine the people, after centuries of worship, slowly covering the stones with earth, stone by stone, circle by circle, until nothing remained but a hill of silence. Were they protecting it? Were they hiding it? Or were they saying goodbye to a way of life that would never return? And so Göbeklitepe vanished for thousands of years, hidden, forgotten, waiting, until we were ready to find it again. Until we too began asking the same eternal questions. Who are we? Where do we come from? And what lies beyond the stars? Göbeklitepe reminds us that human history is not a straight line. It is a labyrinth, a maze of forgotten stories, lost civilizations, and mysteries carved in stone. Every discovery opens a door, and behind each door lies another question. 12,000 years ago, a people without farming, without writing, without cities, raised monuments that defy our imagination. They looked to the heavens. They carved their visions into pillars of stone, and then they buried them, leaving behind a riddle for the future. Today we stand at the threshold of that riddle. We gaze at the stones just as they did, and we ask the same questions they once asked. Why are we here? What is our purpose? What forces shaped the world before us? And what secrets still lie hidden beneath the earth? Göbeklitepe will not give us the answers. But perhaps that is the point. Perhaps it was never meant to provide certainty, but to awaken curiosity, to remind us that mystery is part of who we are. And so the stones remain, silent, eternal, waiting, guardians of a secret that may never be fully revealed. But one truth endures. Göbeklitepe is not just the dawn of civilization, it is the dawn of wonder. And as long as we continue to wonder, the spirit of Göbeklitepe will never die.